Drive past a car dealership in Canada in 2026 and look closely, because some of them are quietly dying. The lot is still full of shiny vehicles. The lights are still on. The sign still glows at night. But go inside, and something is wrong. The showroom is empty. The salespeople are standing around. The phones aren't ringing. And behind the scenes, the owner is looking at numbers that don't add up anymore. Numbers that end, more and more often, with the doors closing for good. Dealerships that have operated in the same Canadian town for 30, 40, 50 years are shutting down. Family businesses, local landmarks, the place where 3 generations of a community bought their cars. Gone. And the reason is deceptively simple and quietly terrifying. Nobody is buying. If you're wondering why you should care about a car dealer's problems, stick with me. Because when the dealerships start closing, it isn't really about dealerships. It's a signal, a canary. It's telling you something about the Canadian consumer, the Canadian economy, and the size of the financial wall that ordinary people have hit. And what it's telling you is not good. Let's start with what's actually happening on the ground. For a car dealership, the enemy is time. Every vehicle sitting on that lot is money, usually money the dealer has borrowed. Dealers finance their inventory. They take out loans to fill the lot with cars, and they pay interest on those loans every single day until the car sells. In the industry, it's called floor plan financing, and it means that a lot full of unsold cars isn't an asset quietly waiting. It's a meter running, fast. When cars sold quickly, this worked beautifully. Buy the inventory, sell it in a few weeks, pay off the loan, pocket the margin, repeat. But in 2026, the cars aren't selling in a few weeks. They're sitting, and every day they sit, that interest meter keeps running on a lot full of vehicles priced so high that fewer and fewer Canadians can afford them. Now layer on the cost of running the dealership itself, the building, the property, the heating through a Canadian winter, the service department, the staff. Those costs don't pause just because sales slowed down. So you have a business bleeding money on inventory it can't move, while its fixed costs grind on relentlessly. That's not a rough quarter. That's a countdown. So why has buying collapsed? Because the same forces we've been tracking on this channel all lead to the same place. The first reason is price. We've covered this. New vehicles in Canada have become staggeringly expensive. The average price of a new car has climbed to a level that would have been unthinkable a decade ago. And when the product costs that much, the pool of people who can realistically buy it shrinks dramatically. The dealer isn't selling to everyone anymore. They're selling to a narrow slice of Canadians who can still absorb the cost. And that slice is getting thinner every year. The second reason is financing. Even the buyers who want a car are running into a wall at the finance desk. Higher interest rates mean the monthly payment on a car loan has ballooned. A vehicle that looks affordable on the sticker becomes unaffordable the moment you stretch it over a loan at today's rates. So people walk into the showroom, fall in love with a car, sit down to work out the payment, and walk right back out. The dealer did everything right and still lost the sale to a number on a calculator. The third reason is that Canadians are simply keeping their cars longer. When money is tight, the easiest financial decision in the world is to not buy a new car. Just keep the old one, fix it, nurse it through another year. Every Canadian family doing that, and millions are, is one fewer sale for the dealership. The used car and repair world absorbs demand that used to flow into new car showrooms. The dealer feels every bit of it. And the fourth reason is quieter, but just as deadly: confidence. People don't make a big optional long-term purchase like a new car when they're worried about their job, their mortgage renewal, or the general direction of the economy. Fear makes people freeze, and a lot of Canadians in 2026 are, understandably, afraid. When you're not sure what next year looks like, you don't sign up for a 5-year loan on a depreciating asset. You wait, and an entire industry built on people not waiting is starving. But here's the real reason. Dealerships are closing, the one underneath all the others. The Canadian consumer has hit a wall, and the car dealership is one of the first places that wall becomes visible. Think about what a new car actually is. It's one of the most optional big purchases a household makes. You need somewhere to live, you need to eat, you need to heat your home. You do not strictly need a brand new car this year. Your current one still runs. So when a household runs out of financial room, the new car is one of the very first things to get cut. It's near the top of the list of things you sacrifice. That makes new car sales an early warning system for the entire economy. When Canadians stop buying new cars, it's one of the first signs that households have run out of margin, that the discretionary money is gone, that people are in defensive mode, protecting the essentials and cutting everything else. The empty showroom isn't the disease, it's the thermometer. And right now, the thermometer is reading trouble. Let me make it real. Picture a dealership in a mid-sized Canadian city. It's been there for decades. The founder's name is still on the sign, though he's long gone and his kids run it now. Generations of local families bought their first cars there. The staff have worked there for years. Some of them grew up in the town. For the last 2 years, the owners have watched it slip. First, the sales slowed. Then they started dipping into reserves to cover the floor plan interest on cars that wouldn't move. Then they cut back on staff hours, hoping to ride it out. Then they stopped ordering new inventory, which made the lot look tired, which made sales slow even more. A death spiral, quiet and polite, playing out over months. And one day the owners sit down with the accountant, and the accountant says the thing they already knew. It's over. The math doesn't work, and it isn't going to. So they close. The sign comes down. The staff, people with mortgages and kids and car payments of their own, are out of work, and a piece of that town's history simply ends. Multiply that by dealerships across the country, and you understand that this isn't a story about car sales. It's a story about the slow erosion of Main Street, Canada, because it doesn't stop at the dealership doors. A dealership is a hub. It employs salespeople, mechanics, parts staff, administrators, cleaners. It supports a service department that keeps the town's cars running. It sponsors the local hockey team. It buys ads in the local paper. It sends business to the local suppliers. When it closes, all of that goes with it. The mechanics have to find new work in a trade that's already shrinking. The service capacity of the whole community drops. The economic web that one business anchored starts to unravel. And there's a bitter irony hiding in here. When dealerships close, there are fewer places to service vehicles. Right at the moment, Canadians are keeping their cars longer and needing more service than ever. So the closures make the repair squeeze worse. Fewer places to fix your car, longer waits, higher prices. The problems feed each other. So where does this go? Some dealerships will consolidate. The strong ones swallowing the weak, big groups absorbing the family businesses. You'll see fewer, larger, more corporate dealerships and fewer independent local ones. Something is lost in that. The personal relationship, the local loyalty, the guy who knew your dad. It gets replaced by a sales target and a call center. Others will simply vanish, leaving empty lots and empty buildings on the edge of Canadian towns. The same way we're seeing empty malls and empty storefronts. Another vacant monument to an economy that stopped working for ordinary people. And underneath it all, the core problem remains untouched. Dealerships aren't closing because they're badly run. They're closing because their customers can't afford the product anymore. And you cannot fix that with better salesmanship. You can only fix it by making cars affordable again, or by making Canadians richer again. And neither of those is happening quickly. So it leaves the same uncomfortable question this channel keeps arriving at from every different direction. If Canadians can no longer afford the things that a functioning middle-class economy is built on, the home, the truck, the new car, then what exactly is left of that economy? And how long can it keep running? On people who are quietly cutting everything they can? I want to hear from you. Has a long-standing dealership closed in your town? Have you decided to keep your old car rather than buy new? And what pushed you to that? Do you think this is a temporary slump or the new normal for Canada? Tell me in the comments. I read them, and these stories matter. And if you want honest breakdowns of what's really happening across this country, the signals that show up on a car lot long before they show up in a headline, subscribe to Canada Insider. There's a lot more of this story to tell.